yesterday or the day before, we had some friends fly in from Brisbane who are just coincidentally having a Bali trip here as well. And we talked about going out tonight. They went out and they had a rocking good time by the looks of the Snapchat posts that we're getting. Robin and I decided to stay in, mostly because it's been quite an unproductive weekend and we had a lot of work to do to catch up. So we have stayed in and we've been working for the last 4 or 5 hours. Have you had a productive afternoon, babe?
Yes.
That's good. Depending on the kind of work that I'm doing, and depending on how much focus and attention it needs from me, I do a little thing. I put movies on in the background. Not Hollywood movies, more like interviews with mentors of mine, like people like Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, DeMartini, and I just have them kind of playing in the background. And depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I can't even like pick up every single sentence that they're saying. It's kind of just like having them talking in the background and me kind of listening. Anyway, there was about 20 or 30 seconds of this particular one that I was listening to today that I want to kind of try and share on this Snap story. And this particular 20 or 30 seconds of interview would sort of piqued my attention on the back of an email that we received earlier in the week. Basically, it was a hater saying things like that the types of Instagram posts and YouTube stuff that we're putting up is really narcissistic. And while I'm not specifically addressing the hater or other haters, I'm more addressing the whole idea of judging these qualities in people. Because I know that even non-haters have these preconceived ideas in their brain that narcissism is bad or altruism is good or these kinds of black and white. And in my experience, anytime I sort of have heard anyone say, this particular trait is good or this particular trait is bad, it's because they're not seeing the full picture.
I tell people in my seminar that I want you to be as altruistic as you possibly can on planet Earth and serve the vast numbers of people. And I want you to be as narcissistic as you can possibly be on planet Earth and live the most outrageously royal life you can. And give yourself permission to do both to the fullest extent within your levels of awareness and reason. And people go, oh, and they want to take a side of one's good and one's bad and all that stuff. No, they're both necessary.
Yeah.
And I always say that altruism is a compensation for shame and guilt of the past with a hidden agenda of the future, which shocks people. And narcissism is compensation for pride and self-righteousness of the past and the hidden agenda of the future.
We all have room services here. We all have all of the traits. Can you get me some food? I'm hangry as. I need to finish this Snap story and I'm too hangry to keep going. Can you get me the field mushrooms, some rice, and some samosas? Back to my story. We all have all of the traits. All of us have all of the traits. All of us have narcissism in us. But when we start to condemn it or judge it or think that it's a bad thing in others, we oppress it within ourselves. And that can be a bigger issue than what it sounds. Because since it's a trait of yourself, if you're oppressing it or if you're judging it, then you're judging a part of yourself. Stack that up over 5, 10, 20, 50 different traits that you condemn in others, and there's a whole heap of things about yourself that you don't like. And before you know it, you've got a whole entire society of people who don't value themselves enough or are really lacking in the self-love department. And it's a really mild, deeply rooted flaw that most people don't even know exists, but it's causing mass disempowerment of the people. Because if you only like half the traits about yourself and condemn or hate or judge the other half, you lower your self-worth. And when you have a low self-worth, you'll look to others who you perceive to be more powerful than you, and then you'll end up subordinating your health, wealth, time, freedoms to some other guy. I guess what I'm saying is that one of the seeds of personal empowerment is to start with being less judgmental of others. Because the less you condemn the traits of others, the less that you're condemning the traits of yourself. And when you can do that, your self-worth rises. And when you've got high self-worth, you've got high self-love. And when you've got high self-love, you grow a bigger set of cock and balls to go after what you want to do with your life. In summary, love others more. Learn to love others more, even the traits that are unattractive at face value. Because the more love you can harness for others, the more love you'll harness for yourself. And eventually you'll have so much self-love that you'll have a never-ending inspiration to make life your bitch. This would be a really good spot to work from today if I could get my internet to work. How's your internet working?
Good.
And we're good. I just had to restart the computer. Sometimes it just bloody plays funny bugger with me.